All right, today we're cracking open one of the most mysterious messages in the ancient world. It's the very first letter in the book of Revelation, written to a church in a city called Ephesus. And trust me, by the end of this, we're going to unlock what it's really all about. Now, this letter has a really famous line in it, a criticism that the church had abandoned its first love. For centuries, pretty much everyone assumed this just meant their passion for Jesus was fizzling out. But what if the real problem is something totally different, something hiding in plain sight? To crack this code, we have to start with the first mystery. Who is this letter even written to? Because, well, the address is not what you'd expect. To the angel of the church in Ephesus, right? An angel? What is going on here? And what's all this about 7 stars and 7 golden lampstands? This is some pretty big, cosmic, heavenly language, not your typical address on an envelope. This is a huge question. Is angel, which really just means messenger, a fancy title for the local pastor? Or, given all this cosmic imagery, are we talking about an actual supernatural being? The answer here is the key that unlocks the entire message. So to figure out who the angel is, we first have to decode the lampstands. This is a direct callback to the Old Testament, and you'll see it changes everything. You see, in the book of Zechariah, these 7 lamps aren't just pretty decorations. They are explicitly called the eyes of the Lord, which were understood to be divine beings from God's heavenly council, his agents roaming the earth. So right away, the lampstands represent a supernatural presence. And this fits perfectly into a wider, ancient belief system, one that's rooted in a passage from Deuteronomy. It's this idea that God assigned supernatural beings to watch over specific nations and communities. Israel was God's personal portion, but other nations had their own spiritual guardians. Scholars call this the Deuteronomy 32 worldview. So when we lay the options out side by side, the idea of a human pastor, it just doesn't fit the grand cosmic language of divine councils. But interpreting the angel as a supernatural guardian, sort of extending that Deuteronomy 32 idea to these new communities of God, it fits the context perfectly. This raises the stakes a lot. When Jesus warns, "I will come to you and remove your lampstand," he's not talking about taking away their furniture. It's a threat to recall their spiritual guardian, to pull back divine protection and leave the entire community exposed. Okay, so we've established the stakes are cosmic. Their divine guardian is on the line. Now let's dig into the heart of the critique. What exactly was this first love that they had supposedly abandoned? Just look at their performance review here. They get praised for their hard work, their patient endurance, their doctrinal purity. They even sniffed out false apostles. They are holding strong in their beliefs. But there's this one huge criticism. And this is the central puzzle. If they're enduring for Jesus' name and rejecting false teaching, how could they have lost their love for him? It just doesn't add up, does it? This is where the common interpretation really falls apart. The text itself tells us they haven't stopped loving Jesus. Verses 2 and 3 make it crystal clear they are enduring patiently for his name's sake. The problem has to be something else. So what is it? Well, there's a major clue in a parallel passage in Matthew's Gospel. In it, the phrase "love growing cold" is a response to persecution. And you know what the antidote is in Matthew? Proclaiming the gospel to all the nations. This suggests the first love isn't an internal feeling, it's an external action. It was their love for outsiders, their mission to be a witness that they had abandoned. They'd turned inward to protect themselves. All right, there's one final piece to this puzzle. The letter praises the church for hating the works of this mysterious group called the Nicolaitans. Figuring out who they are gives us our last big clue about why the church might have turned inward in the first place. Now, instead of us digging through some forgotten history books, the answer is actually in a really clever bit of wordplay. It connects the Nicolaitans directly to the infamous Old Testament story of Balaam, the prophet who led Israel into idolatry. So here it is, check this out. The Greek name Nicolaitans can be broken down to mean conquers the people. Meanwhile, the Hebrew name Balaam was understood in some traditions to mean consumes the people. It's the same idea, just in 2 different languages. John is using a symbolic code name. So the Nicolaitans aren't a specific group. It's a label, a symbol that John applies to any teaching that tempts believers to compromise with the culture around them, to get consumed by it, just like Balaam did to ancient Israel. The Ephesians were absolutely right to hate this kind of compromise.
Okay, we've decoded the angel, the lost love, and the Nicolaitans. Let's put it all together now and see what the ultimate message of this ancient letter really is.
So here's the whole story. The church at Ephesus has a divine guardian watching over it. They're doctrinally sound, they're faithful under pressure, but they've completely stopped their outward mission. And this failure is so serious that their divine protection is at risk. This letter is a cosmic wake-up call to get back to their primary job, being a witness to the world. So ultimately, this letter isn't just a pat on the back or a slap on the wrist. It's a high-stakes, cosmic evaluation of whether this community is actually fulfilling its fundamental purpose. It's a powerful reminder that having strong internal beliefs has to be paired with an active outward mission. And that leaves us with a pretty big thought. The church in Ephesus was under immense pressure, and they reacted by turning inward, by focusing on themselves. It really makes you wonder, when any community or organization faces hardship, is that outward-focused mission always the first casualty? It's a question that's just as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago.